I went over there as a personnel specialist, take care of records. And about the week after I got there, I was out in the jungle walking in a patrol. And I thought, what on earth is going to happen? After high school, I went to the University of Northern Iowa at Cedar Falls. Wanted to become a teacher and a coach. And when I graduated, then I was drafted into the United States Army in May of 1967. Had my basic training at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, my advanced training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and from there I got leave, and then I went to Vietnam. My name is Wayne Robertson. I live in Rose Creek now. Originally, I grew up on a farm north of St. Ansgar, Iowa. I was there from October 1967 to October 1968, 1 year. We flew into Cam Ranh Bay, which is kind of towards the south end of South Vietnam. But my orders sent me to a camp called Dong Ha. It was way on the north part of South Vietnam. In fact, it was just a few miles from the DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. I was actually stationed closer to Hanoi in North Vietnam than I was to Saigon in South Vietnam. I was in automatic weapons, self-propelled. We had M42 Dusters, that's a twin 40mm gun on a small tracked vehicle, and quad 50s, four caliber machine guns on the back of a deuce and a half, 2.5 ton truck. There are a lot of things. We got hit with enemy artillery from across the DMZ almost every day. So we had a lot of incoming. And that kind of wore on you after a while, but that's just something you had to put up with. Oh, one time at our base camp, we stored all our ammunition in one area, which was a mistake because one of the artillery shells landed in the middle of it, and we had 10 hours of explosions of artillery pieces and stuff. It looked like a 4th of July celebration. It made the national news back home, and we had to kind of hunker down in our bunkers until that subsided. I remember the monsoons, just the terrible rains all the time, as opposed to when it wasn't the monsoons, then it was just 120, 115 degree heat all the time, just hot. My mother wrote me a letter every day. Every day I was there in Vietnam for 1 year. And then after I was there a few months, she had heard that some people were getting reel-to-reel tape recordings from their soldiers over in Vietnam. So she sent me a small tape recorder, a reel-to-reel, and I started sending tape recordings home, and then she would tape over them and send them back. And so that was a nice way to communicate. My mother could actually hear my voice, and that meant a lot to her, because a few years before I went, my father had an accident and died. And he said he was afraid that after I got out of college, I would be drafted and go to Vietnam, and I might not make it back. And so that was, that kind of wore on my mother. But when she could hear my voice, it meant a lot to her. Got shot at many times. I was standing in lunch line one day to eat a noon meal, and an artillery round landed about 30, 40 feet away, and the guy in front of me got hit with shrapnel, and the guy behind me got hit with shrapnel. So I know I had some people praying for me at home. That was wonderful to get back. Flew out of Cam Ranh Bay again, and I flew into Minneapolis, Minnesota. My mother, my brother Gary, my sister Judy, and their families, what they had with them, And they met me there, and that's nobody else. There was nobody protesting or something. We just gave each other a hug. We got in the car and drove home. We were just glad to be home, and we just kind of filtered into society and got jobs, and nobody said anything or talked about the war, at least not where we were in the Midwest. I'm glad to be an American. At the time, Vietnam was a very unpopular war, but there's a certain pride in serving your country. I was proud to have served, and I'm just proud of this country. Young people, older people, middle-aged people come up, shake our hand, say thank you for your service. And that means a lot to us and my fellow soldiers or fellow friends who were in the military. It means a lot. Just a simple thank you.